Tonight on Garbage Time Fantasy Football, we are joined again by EJ from Breathing Fantasy Football. Literally, let's get divisional. It's divisional playoff DFS rounds. It's time for Garbage Time. Guys, welcome into Garbage Time Fantasy Football. Tonight, it is me, Joe, and we are joined by special guest, again, EJ from Breathing Fantasy Football. Literally, go over to his channel and show him the love, guys. How are you doing tonight, EJ?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. Hey, good to hear from you and talk with you, Joe.
Absolutely, man. We freaking loved having you on the show last week. It's a little bit of slow in the fantasy season, so DFS playoffs is something that we like to do around these parts, too. And you seem to be our literal YouTube expert on it. So, guys, if you like what you hear on Garbage Time Fantasy Football, make sure to like and subscribe to the show here on YouTube. Make sure to go over to Breathing Fantasy Football. Literally over on EJ's channels. Do the same thing. We are also on Apple, Spotify, Google, Pandora, Amazon, Iheartradio, Tunein. We are live on Twitch and Twitter. And make sure to leave voicemails and hate mails at www.garbagetimef.com, or you can leave them down live in the comments, like from definitely Dennis, who says, "Hey, Jay."
Oh, what's up, Dennis? Yeah, Dennis, him and I, we do a lot of drafts together in DraftKings throughout the season and in some best ball drafts. So, yeah, man. Hey, welcome to Garbage Time Fantasy here.
Yeah, no, this is a joint venture. This isn't just Garbage Time Fantasy Football tonight. This is free-flowing, awesome DFS lineups, right?
Sure, man. There's always a slate to crunch and break down, and it's gonna get smaller as the season ends, and we're down to 4 games. That's it. You can still find some unique plays. It's gonna be doing some digging, you got to stack. You're gonna have to stack some QBs here, or you could just punt the worst defense and maybe get a defensive score like you did last week. I don't know how the Dolphins scored a touchdown, but hey, the crazier things can happen. And yeah, that was one of your plays, Dolphins D. I was like, man, I think I might have said it. Like, they have to have a defensive score for this ever to make sense. And they were the number 1 defense of the week. So crazy.
It is nuts. And EJ, you seem to be going along the lines of a review. So you ready to get into your weekly review?
For DraftKings lineups?
Yeah, we'll do that, and then we'll run into your story. You said you had a story for the audience about Underdog Fantasy. Let's do the DraftKings lineups first. How's that sound?
Oh, it sounds great, man. You want to look at this week, this new slate, or?
Yeah, we'll go back to the wild card round slate and give us a few breakdowns about what you noticed in that. So let's see that drop that we got for you. See, told you I was going to make it drop for you.
Sounds good. Hey, thanks, man. So I like looking at this slate here, I know we just got it in the podcast. You don't have to put it up just yet, but I'm just looking at it on my end, looking at the 4 games, and you got 8 quarterbacks, and I think the top quarterback to play this week, everyone's probably going to agree with this. It's just the way I see it. Patrick Mahomes is the best option, and his price is the highest. It's just one of those. Do you want to roll with Mahomes? Can you find a different value? Can you go cheap again? Guys like Brock Purdy broke the slate last week. He's the cheapest quarterback at 5,400. But man, oh man, I want to believe that Kansas City is going to light it up. And I have mixed emotions with this week with playing them. But man, I have to fire him up in a lineup. I'm going to pair him with Travis Kelce. I think you could double stack him, pick one of the other receivers. Juju's cheap. He's only 5,100. Even Kadarius Toney's 4,100. He's real cheap, man. And these guys can break a slate. So I got a lineup here with Mahomes, Juju, and Travis Kelce. And I'm bringing it back with Evan Ingram. So I'm going double tight end.
Mhm.
Last week I saw that double tight end was a play. It wasn't the best. Playing 4 receivers was the best just overall fantasy. I was looking at none of the running backs. You didn't want to play more than 2 running backs. Only like CMC and Saquon Barkley were like the best plays, and they were expensive last week.
Yeah, and it kind of feels like you have a lot of middle tier running backs, as you said, too, kind of sandwiched in the middle, even coming up this week. For the review, what you're going over for the past week, that really was the play for the running backs, which was Saquon McCaffrey really just dominating the running back position for DFS, and a lot of guys behind him.
Yeah, man. And sometimes you got to gauge off that. You got to put your mind into playoff mode. Like, are these defenses going to step up? Who's going to step up more? Are they going to be playing a little bit tougher? At least that's what I want to think, putting into my lineups here. So with Mahomes we start with 50,000 as a salary cap. Mm-hmm. So Mahomes is $8K. If you got Mahomes in there, you're going to have to get some other cheaper options along the route, especially if you pair them with Kelce. Those are very too expensive plays for this week. So I did Mahomes, Juju, Kelce, Evan Ingram as my Jags bring back, and Zay Jones. I was able to find Zay Jones and Evan Ingram. And then I went with Joe Mixon as my running back and Miles Sanders. So they're both mid-tier running backs. I think Miles Sanders he's still with one of the best offensive lines. I don't know what to think. It could be Miles Sanders. It could be Kenny Gainwell, Boston Scott, or Jalen Hurts can rush a touchdown from the 5-yard line. So to me, it's like he did blow up on the Giants in week 14.
My gut's telling me I think you're along the right lines here with Miles Sanders. I think they're going to try to stick to that game script because it's proven. I like to go off track record there too. I think Philadelphia's personally got a better offensive line than Giants have D-line. Not saying that the Giants D-line isn't good, but Philadelphia's on a whole other level with an offensive line that's stayed healthy for quite a bit of the year, and they're just physical. And Miles Sanders is the kind of running back that can get into space and I think can disrupt that defense a little bit. And I think you may see that repeat from week 14 when they played.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't, as a DFS player, I'm thinking of every combination. I'll tell you another lineup where I'm like, nope, I'm not playing Miles Sanders. It's just the way I want to see it. Like, it can work. It should work, but is the Giants D, are they going to step up? They really want to prove to everyone that they're not going to get beat a third time. And in the game where they got beat in week 18, that was like third stringers in. So yeah. I'm really interested to see if the Giants can step up. I know a lot of you guys from New York, they're some of your buddies, Ron, and you guys are rooting for the Giants. So
I am not, because I'm not going to be able to tolerate listening to that for the next 6 or 7 months if they actually happen to advance farther into the playoffs.
Oh, man. I'm with you, man. But I was thinking that if Tom Brady and company advanced, I was believing that they could have beat the Eagles. But that's not even a narrative. They don't. We knew how the Bucs looked a couple of days ago. We kind of knew what the Bucs were looking like all season. I just thought maybe there'd be some Tom Brady magic. A few of us were probably believing that might have happened, but it didn't. He was hurting. But anyways, man, looking at the rest of this lineup on my end, Mahomes, Mixon, Sanders, Juju. I said Travis Kelce, Zay Jones, Evan Ingram. So there's one other receiver I didn't mention, and it's the home run hitter, Gabe Davis. So I'm bringing it back, correlation with the Bengals. Going with Gabe Davis from Buffalo. He did
something about the playoffs,
week.
Dude. Something about the playoffs with Gabe Davis just sparks him. He's, I would say, an above-average wide receiver during the regular season, but just something about when he hits the spotlight during the playoffs, he just hits another level. I don't know what brings it out in him, but it makes you really want to play him at that cheap price.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just telling you what fits in this specific lineup. I mean, for 4,800, they didn't budge his price, and he had a great game. And I would think that his home run style would be dependent on again in a game that could be a shootout. Playing Joe Mixon, I'm trying to say Joe Mixon's optimal, maybe 28, 33 points is a ceiling.
Yep.
So if he gets that, I want to say Buffalo stays with the game. Maybe Gabe Davis is the guy again. Maybe it's Diggs, but you can't afford Diggs in this lineup with the guys I previously mentioned. And I threw in Cowboys D. I like Cowboys D because I want to be there when Brock Purdy has a bad game. We haven't seen it yet, but I don't know if somehow Cowboys are going to come fired up. They can get some sacks. They can get some picks. They like to – and they even have that punt returner guy. So I'm looking for a defensive score here. It looks like the Niners are probably going to put up some points. But for 3K, I like Cowboys D. They're just another home run fantasy scoring defense.
Your buddy Dennis likes Gabe Davis too.
Yeah. Dennis, me and him, we he's a really good drafter. We're always drafting together, and we kind of pick off each other.
You had mentioned Joe Mixon here too. So there was a little bit of news floating around today about some of the injuries going on with the Bengals offensive line. So left tackle Jonah Williams is a knee injury, and Kappa's already hurting. So they're down 3 offensive linemen going up against Buffalo. Does that worry you when you're putting Joe Mixon in your lineups here, or are you just looking for a little bit of variety because some people may shy away from him?
Hey, hold on, man.
Yeah, you may want to get check what that is. So the thought when I was mentioning Joe Mixon in these lineups is Buffalo's got a very stout front seven. And I've kind of got the feeling that there's a possibility that the Bengals could fall behind in this game a little bit early. I ultimately think that they could end up winning this game, but you may need to think about not playing Joe Mixon in these potential lineups, but he's a nice cheap option. And if you don't get any of that passive narrative, it could be a differential that could help you win those DFS lineups.
No, you're right, man.
Did you squish the bug, EJ?
Oh yeah, there was an ant in our bed, and my wife, she screams bloody murder. So yeah, everything's good.
I know the bug scream from anywhere. My fiance does that too.
Nah, she's all right, but everything's all good here. Sorry to everything's good. No, you make a good point about Joe Mixon. I just know that the Bills defense has been bad against the run, and we haven't seen much of Mixon lately. I know they're banged up with the O-line, but he can catch balls. I don't know. I feel like I don't know if they like P. Ryan right now. I don't know what to think of P. Ryan.
They're really not using him.
He's going to be a low-owned play. I just think Mixon's a low-owned play.
Yeah. I just kind of got that feeling that Buffalo may make Joe Mixon that ant that you don't want under the boot of the Buffalo Bills defense. I'm hoping that's not the case, but
yeah, I was just trying to see how I could fit something in here. I may change. I don't mean to tell you guys over there watching Garbage Time play Joe Mixon. It just fit my lineup. And I don't like it, so I need to roll with some things that I don't like. I feel like if I love it so much, it doesn't work out in the end.
Mm-hmm.
That's just I do
just in my soul, I kind of have that feeling that we're going to get into a narrative of a shootout. I think they're going to drop Joe Burrow back a lot in this game because they're missing offensive linemen. You'll see him playing out of the shotgun. They're going to try to get him out into space, and I think that's going to lead to them not playing Mixon a lot. But I think you'll, like you said, see differentials in lineups where he could be valuable. And if he hits, you're going to have him in a lot more lineups as compared to people who won't. and that may help you in your DFS lineups, especially if you're playing in smaller pools.
Yeah, no, you're right, man. You made a good point. I really believe that there can be better options. His price is not like amazing, but it's not. It's like middle tier.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it is the third highest price, but there's only 4 games, but it's the third highest price running back.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's sauce it up here a little bit. You said you had a story you wanted to talk about with Underdog Fantasy for the week, right?
Yeah, man.
Let's get into that. Tell me what you got.
Sure. So I did a draft on my live stream last week, and I drafted with my buddy, and we did a draft. So Underdog Fantasy, you do a draft just like you would do regular league drafts that you're probably very accustomed to, but it's only a 6-man draft, and you're just drafting 10 spots. So we did a draft where we did the first round, and we're doing this for the whole playoffs. So we're trying to get these pieces that we believe are going to be needed throughout all the rounds. So if I draft a guy like Tom Brady and he loses, I'm stuck with that piece. And if I advance, I'm done at quarterback if I don't have another quarterback. So it's a very unique tournament. You want to draft guys that you believe are going to help you advance, but also be there down the road in each additional round. So just to give you a breakdown of the best ball playoffs.
Yeah,
So I did a draft where I drafted Brock Purdy, CMC, James Cook, and Debo, George Kittle, Dawson Knox, Tony. So Tony I didn't use last week, but I'll use him this week. Isaiah McKenzie, he was a weird. We didn't know if he was going to play, but he didn't. Josh Palmer and Zay Jones.
Playing off in the news, he's actually healthier this week too, so he should be quite available this week too.
So yeah, I might need him. So I can only start 5 out of the 10 guys I just listed. So I had a big Brock Purdy lineup. You know, Brock Purdy, CMC, Debo, they went off against the Seahawks. Absolutely. And I had a huge lead in this tournament. And I thought for sure only first place advances to the next round. It's 1 out of 6. So it's 6 total guys doing the drafts. So I was in first place the whole time. And then out of nowhere, there's a Monday night game. And this guy has Dak Prescott and Dalton Schultz. And you probably know what happened in that game.
Oh, I was watching very intently as a Jets fan, wanting to see the Cowboys retire Tom Brady. So, yes, I know very well what happened in that game.
Yeah. So what happened was Dak Prescott and Schultz, the guy that had him, they started creeping up. And, man, they actually – that combo, and he has some other pieces, but they passed me. So I had 108.28 points, and he had 108.3. So he was beating me by 0.02. This was like in the third quarter when Schultz caught the second touchdown. Oh, no, Schultz already caught a second touchdown. It was who caught the fourth touchdown? Was it Gallup or CeeDee Lamb?
CeeDee Lamb caught the fourth.
So when CeeDee caught the touchdown, Dak's points put him on top of me by 0.02. And I was telling my buddy Cha-Cha, I was like, man, I hate to break it to you, but we're not going to advance. The only way we advance is if Dak throws an interception, and he almost did. He almost threw an interception. We were watching it. I was like, oh, man, it went right out of the guy's hands when he threw a deep ball on third down. I was like, man, that was it. But he didn't throw it, and I was like, yo, Cha-Cha, the only way we advance is if Dak kneels. He has to kneel. And, like, how many times do you ever, like, watch a game and you're, like, rooting for, like, the craziest statistic?
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the game, Dak took 2 kneels. The first kneel, he took the ball, and he, like, ran back up to the center, and he didn't lose no yards. I was like, son of a bitch. Like, this, I didn't get the vightest one. But the next one he did, they credited him with a -1 yard, and it put us back in first. I swear to God, I can't make this up, man.
You won on a kneel.
Yes. I'm showing it here on my end here. Yeah. I won on a kneel and I advanced. Underdog advanced me. So I'm in the semifinals. Not the quarterfinals, which is round 2 with this team. So it's a pretty stacked team. I only lost Josh Palmer from the Chargers. So outside of that, man,
you're in good shape. It sounds like.
Yeah, I'm excited to roll with this team. I'll let you know how it goes later on. But yeah, I wanted to share that with you because it was cool.
That is cool. It sounds like you're very 49er heavy too. So it sounds like you're going to be a fan of them this week.
Yeah, man. I want to be. And I know it sounds like I want to be a fan, but it's like, EJ, you just showed me a lineup where you're playing Dallas Cowboys defense. Like, come on, man.
It's just variety. You're just picking a little bit everywhere. That's all.
I can't take anything you say seriously, EJ. Like, I can see people saying that to me.
Your buddy Dennis has a question here for us, too. What does he think? What do we think of Higgins?
I think you basically just broke down how you thought about how that game would go down with Joe Burrow dropping back with the O-line.
I really think that's a possibility, too. And you're going up against the 25th worst defense against the pass, too. So this could be potentially a good matchup for Higgins, too. And he's due at this point for a big game. It's been a little bit since he's had that nice monster game. So this could be a Higgins week, and it could differentiate you in your lineups because people are going to heavily be taking Jamar Chase this week. So take the second guy maybe. So I do like Higgins. Maybe both of them have big weeks. It's a very good possibility.
Yeah, I wonder if there's any like thing Higgins needs to get off his chest with what happened against the Bills defender. If he has a big game, or I don't know, some reason those kind of thoughts go through my head still. Like, will he have a big game because it's the Bills defense, or will he get shut down because it's the Bills? I don't know.
Exactly.
I like to think like there's some just crazy unknownness to anything we do with what we do. But Higgins is not a bad play. I think and then Tyler Boyd's only 4K, right? He's real cheap.
Absolutely. EJ, you ready to get some news that are – go ahead with that thought, and then I'll transition.
No, I was just going to say I like these cheap guys. I'm looking down here. You got Slayton at 4,200, Tony at 4,100, Boyd at 4K. Like, with me sharing anything with DFS, with lineups, you could put all three of these guys in, and if the WR1s don't smash and it's like the WR2, WR3 week, and you got these guys in, that's what differentiates you. This is the kind of week where you want to leave money on the table. Like, you could probably leave anywhere from $500 to $1,000.
That really was hard not to do this week because a lot of the lineups left you with, when I was putting in my lineups this week, I was left with $700 a lot of the time, and I was maneuvering to see if I could adjust and maybe get a higher value player in a lot of those spots. And there really wasn't an opportunity to, based on the prices of these players this week. So you were leaving a lot of money on the table this week.
Leave it, man.
You have to. I like my lineups too much.
Thing.
Shouldn't absolutely be a problem.
Go through the news that you need to do, or for everyone else.
Yeah, man. Actually, this news will play into the DFS lineups you were talking about, especially Slayton that you mentioned. So that'll broadcast us right into the news.
News updates.
All right, so you had mentioned that Slayton could be a decent option based on his price, but there was a report out today that someone who kind of banged very well last week, Isaiah Hodgins, has an ankle injury and was limited on Wednesday. So I wanted to get your thoughts about him for DFS lineups this week and if you like Slayton as a better option.
Man, Hodgins is not missing this game. I don't – this has to just be like limited just to – it wouldn't change my thoughts. If you wanted to play Hodgins, just roll with them. I think all three of those guys, even maybe they get Galladay out there. It doesn't seem like they want to put him out there.
Ron talked about him last week.
He didn't go out there. But, man, I think if you wanted to play Hodgins, still play him. I wouldn't let this – unless he suffers a setback during the game.
Mm-hmm.
But, man, this is do or die. This is such a big weapon that they've noticed throughout the season. I think I got on him the moment he started playing more snaps around Thanksgiving. I noticed it. I was like, who's this guy? Like,
he came out of nowhere.
They're looking for some type of identity at the receiver. So, man, unless he's really banged up, he's going to get his usual workload and he deserves it. I think they're just monitoring him.
Yeah, Hodgins really looks like a long-term number 2 wide receiver for them. I think they're going to look for a true number 1 this upcoming year, but he feels like he's got a long-term appeal to the Giants. I think he's going to stick around. He's got a nice repertoire there with Danny Dimes.
I like that. I hope they keep Danny Dimes. I hope that they still see like it's just not a 1-year fluke with the quarterback coach magic and Brian Dable.
He may have played himself into an extension with that win. And speaking of extensions, here's 2 players that are going to be looking for them. Adam Schefter reported that the Vikings and Justin Jefferson have not even yet begun extension talks, but there's other contradicting reports saying that they have. And Lamar Jackson's contract's up in the air too. Do you think either one of these guys get extended this offseason, EJ?
You're talking about Lamar Jackson?
And Justin Jefferson.
And, man, can they franchise tag any of these guys?
They have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're going to keep Lamar Jackson. I think it's a feel-good story. They want to roll with him. They've been trying to work something out with him. I think both of them stay. How does Jefferson leave?
He never. I think he's gonna be the highest paid wide receiver. I think this offseason. I really believe that he's gonna reset the market.
Is there any way down the road in his career he goes back and reunites with the LSU team?
So what? Goes and plays with New Orleans? You mean?
I don't know. Man.
Maybe in the twilight of his career.
Yeah.
That would be pretty freaking cool, man. For DFS lineups this week, what do you think about Sky Moore for the Chiefs? He's a Chiefs option, and his hand seems to be fully healed now.
Man, if Sky Moore plays, that would be for 3K. I can't play him.
Mm-hmm.
There's just maybe in a showdown slate. I can't play him in this format.
Fair enough.
For a 3K, I'd be on a guy like Khalil Shakir for the Bills. I'm still curious about McKenzie. I think he's going to play, but
I
Shakir
think he will too.
Good.
Yeah,
and
he
Shakir's
really did.
Probably not even 3K. But I'd like your thoughts on Sky Moore. Beasley's still 3K. Shakir is 3K. Man, one of these guys, I just don't even know if they have ceiling opportunities, man. I'm always looking for ceilings. I want guys that can get me for 3K. I need at least 15 points is what I'm looking for. Minimum.
I mean, like 15 points that I got from those 2 Giants players that we said were not going to do well.
Which ones?
It was
Hodgins?
It was Hodgins and Bellinger, and they both played pretty okay. Just good enough to get me first in that little lineup that we set. Draft.
Yeah.
They hit the baseline.
You had it, man. But that was just one of those sneaky Bellinger ceiling. Unfortunately, looks like it's stuck right there at like 12, 13, 14 points.
Is this one of your buddies here, AJ? Jake Brallman?
Yeah.
Yo.
Yeah, it's my boy Jake. He's a diehard Chiefs fan. He gives me a lot of content on the Chiefs.
How you doing, Jake?
He's a galaxy brainer. He's always trying to break down and find unique looks with us and plays.
Well, are you ready to galaxy brain and alternate some lineups then?
Yeah, man. I'm always down.
All right, let's do that. Let's give me the hard line grades. Okay, let's do it. All right, you gave us one already, so how about I give us one and you tell me what you think of it?
Yeah, of course, man.
All right, I'll start with my Brock Purdy lineup. You played him in Underdog this week, and while we're talking about that, do you have a promo code you'd like to shout out to my Heckling Fandom that they can
sure,
potentially
man.
use? What's
if
your
you guys
go ahead?
If you guys ever try Underdog Fantasy, it's a really unique platform that's designed to connect anybody that wants to do mostly drafts. It's mostly like best ball drafts. They have daily drafts, which is like, it's kind of like what we do with the DraftKings, with the DFS, but it's do this same slate, these 4 matches that we're talking about, but like a draft format. And you're just trying to draft like a 6-man roster. And if you get the nuts, hey, they're only like $5 entries, and it's a really unique type of game to play. It's not easy, but you just never know. If you get some of the unique combinations, you can hit a big draft. And so, yeah, if you go on underdogfantasy.com and enter my promo code BFFL, they'll match 100% up to $100. So if you put in $5, they'll match $5. If you put in $100, they'll match $100. And they're pretty good at withdrawals too. It's a real simple process. It's not crazy, man.
So what you're saying is it's basically a free bet if they use your promo code.
Yeah, it is. They'll match it up to 100% on the first deposit. So,
all right, go ahead. AJ.
I would do it. I would do at least. They'll only match up to $100. So if you wanted to give it a stab and do $100, you'll get a free $100 of betting. And they have a pick'em, which is similar to if you ever are aware of pick'ems. They have a pick'em section where you could pick like player props. I'm not that good at it, but I don't do it too much. But it's fun. If you like a certain direction in a game and you're like, oh man, freaking Mahomes is gonna blow it out the water this week. Oh, his player props only 290 pass yards. I'm gonna click the over there, and you just do certain kind of combinations, and it's kind of like a player prop parlay.
Great. EJ, help me out with this acronym. Which players are you talking about? BCB might struggle this week.
Big Cock Brock.
Oh, just like Big Dick Nick, huh? Now it's Big Cock Brock, huh?
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
I've been learning that.
What's that?
I've been learning that Twitter lingo.
Big Cock Brock. Well, I'll give you my Big Cock Brock lineup, all right? All right, so first one I've got here in the DraftKings DFS lineup, 50,000, is Big Cock Brock at 5,400. I like the price, and I like how it allows me to step up my game at the other positions and spend a little bit more money. I think the 49ers are actually going to beat the Cowboys this weekend. That's why I like this lineup. Don't think they're going to trounce them. It'll be close. The Cowboys will have revenge on their game, but I think you'll see a nice scoring game. And I like Purdy to have a nice, decent week. And at that value, you got to play him. 8,000, you got to go with the dog, Christian McCaffrey. I'm playing that line. Yeah, absolutely. You got to play him this week. I mean, Purdy and him can both have points from the dump-off passes he's going to give to him. Next, I'm going with Jerick McKinnon at 6,000. The man just falls into the end zone the last 6 weeks. And at 6,000, I like a touchdown. So we're going to go with that with the Chiefs. I'm sticking with the 49ers. Big Cock Brock is throwing Deebo Samuel. Samuel was good last week. He's going to be good again this week at a nice value of 5,900. Next, we're going with Isaiah Hodgins. I understand he could be injured, but he's not going to miss this game. There's absolutely no way, as he said. It's just not going to happen. So Isaiah Hodgins could be in for another decent week, and I think he will be. Look for that to happen. After that, I've got Gabe Davis at 4,800. Absolutely blew up last week. So look for that to happen. I mean, EJ, it's kind of interesting. It looks like you're buffering on one part of your screen and you're chilling over here on the other one. So I'll just remove the buffering one. How's that sound?
Hey man, you know what? I need to hit a lineup so I can improved my internet connection. I'm like on one bar here. So, yeah, sorry about that.
Excellent. I said Isaiah Hodgins is not going to miss this week, as you said. Gabe Davis, 4,800, blew up last week. I think he's going to show up again this week. Good for the lineup. Look for Dalton Schultz to be on the opposing side against the 49ers. He is the safety blanket for Dak Prescott, who could make some mistakes against the 49ers, so he's going to be looking for his safety blanket. Going 2 tight end here, too. Travis Kelce is 7,700. And Chiefs defense against the Jags, because we had 4 interceptions last week. Even with the recovery the Jags had to come back and win from 27 down, which was incredible. But the Chiefs may get some turnovers, which will lead to some DFS points. So what's your thoughts on that big cock Purdy lineup there, EJ?
Can you go through the running backs and the first 3 receivers again?
Sure.
I lost my internet. Sorry.
McCaffrey, Jared McKinnon, Deebo Samuel, Isaiah Hodgins, Gabe Davis.
Oh, this lineup, you're able to use all your salary cap.
Yes.
So that's kind of cool.
This is one of the only ones I was able to.
Yeah. I think you're doing what everybody wants to do this week because they missed out on it last week was
Absolutely.
the Brock Purdy CMC Debo combination.
It's almost like I saw it last week.
Yeah. I think it could happen again.
I think it's likely because of the matchup we saw last year. And I think it's going to be a similar format.
Yeah, I know they beat the Cowboys by 1 or 2 touchdowns.
Oh, God. Here's Ron. Man. Can't be on the show, but he can be in the comments. What's up, guys? Giants to the Super Bowl. Enjoy your losses,
man.
Ron.
What's up, Ron? Man, but we got to let him enjoy his win.
Yeah.
Not many people had expectations for Giants. They kind of been that team that just couldn't figure it out ever since Eli Manning left. I mean, even before then.
Yep.
So it's awesome to get a coach that can work with what he has, and he's made that team look good. I don't know if they're a Cinderella team. So far, them and the Jaguars are really shocking the whole NFL world right now, still in the playoffs. So that's interesting, man. But going back to your lineup, I like the lineup. McKinnon, man, I wish he wasn't 6K, but
pricey.
He's just been on fire. I just don't know. We did see Rojo come in, and I don't want to say that Rojo's going to be the guy to see more than 20% of snaps. But McKinnon is definitely maybe somehow the Jags get a little lead or a 2-minute drill. I'm just trying to see where McKinnon would be a guy that they need to rely on. It can happen. But, man, I just don't know how much faith I have in him with this game. I feel like they don't need him in this game, but they could. I just haven't thought about putting him in.
Interesting.
And Pacheco hasn't really shown us a ceiling. They haven't really, he's got so much, spark. He's like a lightning bolt out there with a lot of his plays when he gets the ball. He looks so explosive. It's so crazy how the Chiefs, they may have struck gold getting Pacheco. In a couple years or even next year, we may see some more explosive plays as he learns more into his second year. But I don't know if we get a ceiling game out of Pacheco in this playoffs.
Your buddy Dennis says Rojo is trash and CEH is back, right? Dennis, let me explain this. I think they're both trash, so we can put them both in a dumpster.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If CEH is back, which I know he's his 21-day window to return, and he's practiced yesterday, he probably is going to come back. That makes me not sure if I want to play any running back from the Chiefs. I just don't know what kind of committee they may roll out there.
Well, if they roll out a committee, I think the top two will still be Pacheco and McKinnon. So CEH is not a play for me this week.
Nah, CH was a bust.
He's done. Toasted. Absolutely done.
I was a guy that drafted him in the first round previous years.
Oof. That's tough.
As a rookie, yeah. I mean,
our resident Ron Seymour did it too in a lot of leagues. He was a big CEH fan his rookie year.
I mean, you had to. Didn't the Chiefs move up, or they got him at the last pick in the round, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like this lineup, man. There's a lot of home runs. You're swinging home runs with the Brock Purdy lineup again. Gabe Davis. Man, if I want to play Gabe Davis, if he blows up, I want a Bengals piece somewhere in this lineup.
Mm-hmm.
That's all how I see it. And having Hodgins in here,
the option to do that could be Tyler Boyd. Then he's potentially someone you can switch out for Hodgins. This
could be a lineup where you just pay down at 4,900 and leave 900 on the table, and you roll with Boyd. That would be a look that I would entertain.
Mm-hmm.
Leaving that money on the table. Other than that, I mean, it looks good. You're telling a story that McKinnon's still going to get some work, even if they're ahead, and having Schultz in there. Another game. So with Schultz being a guy.
Jake's got a comment for us. Once the Chiefs get in the red zone, everybody's an option to score a touchdown. I believe Clyde led the team in red zone touchdowns before he got hurt. He did, but I believe they're going to continue with the formula of McKinnon because if it works, why change it? Hey, this is someone from our Heckling Fandom and one of our favorites. This is Adam. Adam, tonight we're talking about DFS lineups. So if you want some free money, Adam, to go do Underdog, EJ, where can he find that link again? What is it again?
Underdogfantasy.com.
What's your promo code?
BFFL. So if you go to the section where you deposit, you sign up, you register, and you make your first deposit, I recommend doing – I hate to tell people to do $100, but if you want the max you can get from a promotion, I would deposit $100 to get the 100% match up to $100 and use my promo code BFFL for Breathing Fantasy Football, literally. So yeah, BFFL. They'll hook you up with a cool promotion, and Underdog Fantasy is fun.
That's right, Adam. That fantasy football happens even in the playoffs. And yes, Ron, we talked about Hodgins being a superstar for the Giants. I think he's going to be your wide receiver 2 this upcoming year, and you guys will go and get a true number 1. He's quite a beast for your guys' lineup. EJ, do you got another lineup for us?
Yes, sir.
Let's go.
I kind of want to take this Joe Mixon now.
Sure.
I'm gonna shoot one off the hip here, man.
Let's do it.
So I'm gonna start with a clear field. I'm just gonna, based on some of the things we were talking about here, I want to shoot one right off the hip. I want to go and do, man, looking at the 8 quarterbacks. So Mahomes, Josh Allen, Hurts, Burrow, Dak, Trevor Lawrence, Danny Dimes, Brock Purdy. Man, there's any one of these guys could have a ceiling this week. It's so tough trying to just pick one and just roll with it. You can pick a Burrow and stack it. Hurts, I'd say a skinny stack, meaning you don't want to get Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown or A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert. I wouldn't do that. They're still expensive.
And guys,
Josh
just
Allen,
a reminder,
maybe.
This is in a DraftKings format, $50,000 DFS format.
Yeah, this is a lot harder to talk about because you can't get every player. You can't just pick who you want. You have to go within a salary cap. even if you could pick every player, not everybody's going to blow up. So you got to try and talk a narrative that could make sense. Man, seeing Josh Allen cheaper than Mahomes has me maybe believing that doing a Josh Allen stack, going back there, trying to show the world that we're the team. Like maybe the Bills make a statement. It looked like, to be honest with you, I thought the Ravens should have beat the Bengals, and we saw how close they were to taking the lead again. Some crazy fumble return. That was just so nutty.
Yep.
Dennis is saying,
let's
build
to
a
show
Joe
you
Burrow
that
lineup.
the playoffs is nuts, and you can't overlook these teams, as the Bills and Bengals found out this week.
Right, man. Totally there with you. It's going to be – that's definitely the game everybody wants to watch and see what could have happened if that game never had that freak incident.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people are very curious to see who's the better team. It looked like the Bengals were going to have a huge start to that game. So, but man, knowing that a few more pieces are going to be out, were these pieces out when they played the Bills 3 weeks ago? I don't even know. Those offensive linemen.
It sounds like your soul's telling you, though, that you either want to go with a Josh Allen or Joe Burrow lineup here.
Yeah, man. I kind of do want to do a Josh Allen lineup.
Let's do it. I don't have a Josh Allen lineup, so that'd be great if we had a Josh Allen lineup for the show.
Yeah, let's do it. If we do Josh Allen, I want to get Gabe Davis in here. It's kind of hard to put Davis and Diggs. I feel like you just got to roll with one or the other. If you look back at their history, you don't really see both of them blowing up together.
Mm-hmm.
It's like playing Higgins and Jamar Chase. They usually both don't blow up together. But I do, and you can also play just Josh Allen. He can get some rushing yards, a rushing touchdown, and he just makes one of his other guys super optimal. So maybe I just do a Gabe. Oh yeah, maybe I just do a Gabe Davis with Josh Allen.
Okay.
Seeing that run through that news with McKenzie coming back, I just don't know what kind of role he'll play. I know they'll pull him out, and he won't be an every down guy. He really wasn't, man. They're pulling him out. It looks like they like Shakir. They like Cole Beasley. They're basically the same type of player on the field. And I think Josh Allen trusts Cole Beasley for sure. But I don't even know if I want to play Cole Beasley. So I'll just leave it with Josh Allen and Gabe Davis for you guys here. And maybe I'll pick one of my running backs. CMC, Barkley, Joe Mixon, ETN, Pollard. So we know Zeke's ceiling is it's not there anymore. And Pollard's, this is a tough defense to go against. He would have to have a breakaway score, some type of big breakaway play to play Pollard at 6,100. I see why he went McKinnon at 6K. Can Pacheco surprise us? I think someone from the Chiefs is going to break the slate. I just don't know if it's Pacheco.
You got to take a shot in this lineup.
Man, I'm gonna keep scrolling down. I'm building it as I'm talking with you. This is how I would do a lineup in general. On my stream, on the BFFL stream, I would just break down, go through it, talk out loud, galaxy brain at the same time. But yeah. Adam says Josh Allen is not one of the top 3 quarterbacks left in these playoffs. I can't see them getting past Cincy. We all have opinions, and I respect that.
That's EJ's nice way of saying to you, Adam, that he doesn't think that's the case. Although I actually am on your side here. I think Cincy is going to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if Cincy wins, it still doesn't hurt to play. He's not going to go out without a bang. I mean,
it's fantasy. He doesn't need to win the game to have a great fantasy day and still outscore Burrow.
Yeah. We'll see, man. So yeah, I like playing still trying to pick my running back here. Let's try Pacheco.
Okay.
He's due for something. It's just his ceiling is pretty low. It should be a low owned play. I think some guys would like Miles Sanders here or roll with Barkley. But if you're playing Josh Allen in a lineup, it's kind of hard. And plus, if you're not playing Mahomes, it's okay to play Pacheco. Maybe it's not a Mahomes game and you're trying to go a little different and you still want a piece from that Kansas City Jaguars game. So I like to think that that's a good play. And then maybe go CMC, go back to CMC. I want CMC in any playoff game that he plays from here on out.
Going expensive.
So I want to bring it back since Chase is 7,800 and we have an expensive CMC. I want to see at first if we can get Higgins in this lineup. Right now, our average to use is 4,700. So
there you go, Dennis.
Jamar Chase is 78. Yeah, Jamar
Higgins
Chase is 7,800. So we would have to go a little cheaper. We can't really get Chase in this, so Higgins would make sense. And here I have my quarterback, both my running backs, and 2 receivers. I may look to put a tight end and a defense in to kind of see where I'm at. So I'll look at my defense. And
all right. Well,
Bengals
while you're
defense,
galaxy braining your defense, I've got to argue this. If you're okay with that, EJ. Adam over here says number 1 quarterback Mahomes, number 2 Hurts, number 3 Daniel Jones. Fight me, Adam. Let's get real here. I understand you're a Giants fan, just like Ron. Don't know how he's not higher up on your podcaster list then, because you two have that in common. But listen here. He is not the number 3 quarterback in the playoffs currently. There are still 2 or 3 guys that are a lot better than Daniel Jones. Yes, I understand he had his coming out party last week. But listen, he's not better than Burrow. He's not better than Jalen Hurts, which you at least gave credit for here too. And he's not better than Josh Allen. He's good. He's ascending, but he's not number 3. Nice try, though.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely had a good year. More touchdowns and less interceptions and more winning games. Most games he's won. So, and
You said a lot
Mahomes is
of
doing it
defense yet?
without Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, man.
Not yet, but I've been thinking. I like man, I don't have any Eagles plays here yet, and I'm sure Adam would love for me to plug in Giants defense if they make a stand.
Right.
I like a cheap D. So the cheapest defense is Jaguars D. I don't think we're going to get a Cinderella defense like the Dolphins D this week. I mean, crazier things have happened. I'm going to say the Giants D gets a couple – I don't know, man. Maybe we could go Giants D or Bills D. Bills D could fit this lineup with Josh Allen getting some sacks on Joe Burrow.
That's possible, too, because of the offensive line issues.
Yes. These words will haunt you in 3 weeks. I want to run Bills D in here just because it's like a hero defense with the stack so far.
All right, Adam, these words will haunt me in 3 weeks. Well, I will tell you this right now. If the Giants win the Super Bowl this year, I will write you and Ron an apology and read it live on the air. How about that? Because they're not winning the Super Bowl. Nice try, though. But congrats on your win. Enjoy it while it lasts. I'm glad you guys didn't get a win.
You know what I'm going to do here, man? I'm going to take out Pacheco. I'm going to go back. This is how I Galaxy Brain. I'm going to put in Miles Sanders.
Okay.
It's just the play. He's too cheap. And I was looking at the Eagles receivers. Devontae Smith is way too much. He's never been 7,200 at all this year. He's not a price I want to play.
It does seem like an odd price for him. I don't know why it's that high.
He's right next to A.J. Brown. I know he's had a couple sealing games recently. And he's been on a tear, but man, the Giants are going to lock down somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Miles Sanders' price it's nice. And if I'm a fade Pacheco, maybe I go play like a Kadarius Toney or I don't like MVS. He used to be a Packer, and he's just he's just not it, man. So I like Kadarius Toney here. So I'll get a Kansas City piece. And what this lineup for me that I'm showing right now with Josh Allen, I'm saying Josh Allen still outscores Mahomes, since I could basically get Josh Allen or Mahomes so far. And I still have 5,400 for a tight end and a flex playing Bills defense. So let's look here. We do have CMC. We could get a guy like Evan Ingram, bringing it back with Kadarius Toney. That's not a bad play. It doesn't look like we could get Travis Kelce in this lineup. I mean, we could. If I put Kelce in, we'll have 3,200.
Mm-hmm.
But if I play Kadarius Toney and Kelce, I'm thinking, well, I might have to take out Josh Allen and put in Mahomes. That's just all this crazy thought. It doesn't make sense to play a receiver and a tight end without playing the quarterback. So there's all kinds of crazy things that go in with building a lineup. So I'm going to take out Kelce for now.
Okay.
And put in like Evan Ingram, bringing it back with Toney. And 6,600 in the flex allows me to get Joe Mixon, ETN, Pollard, McKinnon, Kurt. So I basically get some of these Jaguar Chief option or Debo here.
At 5,900.
Yeah, he's not a bad option either. It's basically saying that Debo gets a rushing touchdown and CMC gets a rushing touchdown. Brock Purdy's not optimal, even though you just never know, man. I don't mind this look. It's no Travis Kelce. Maybe the Jaguars do everything they can to quadruple team him, and he's just not the guy that gets it done. But I know he's going to be Mahomes' first look anywhere near the red zone. So, yeah, I'm a rock with this. I was telling you we should do a lineup where we leave some money on the table. So doing CMC, Debo without Brock Purdy, that's kind of cool.
Definitely a unique look. I like what you did with that one. All right, you ready for I did a Joe Burrow lineup last week. You ready for the Joe Burrow lineup this week?
Go ahead, man.
All right. Joe Burrow at 6,500. Great value again. I think he's going to be playing in the shotgun. I think he's going to have a decent week. Saquon Barkley, 7,900. I am going along the lines of the Giants having a decent week against the Eagles with this lineup. So this is a little bit of variety in this second lineup. So Saquon at 7,900. I've also got the Giants defense at 2,500. I think they'll play tough defense in this scenario with them running the ball with Saquon. So look for them to try to create mistakes. I don't think this is what's going to actually happen this week. But like I said, I want some variety in my lineups. Zeke Elliott, 5,400. He's a little bit of a cheaper option. People do not believe in him. It allows me to spend up at some other positions. Not a lot of people are going to play him. They think he's kind of long in the tooth. Let's see if he can do anything. Next, I've got Jamar Chase paired with Joe Burrow. Loved what I saw last week. Think it's going to continue this week, 7,800. Let's go with another Cowboy here. CeeDee Lamb at 7,300. I pulled another wide receiver from the Bengals because I think they could have a big game. Tyler Boyd at 4,000. I then, on the opposing side, played Dawson Knox at 3,800. He started very hot early in that game against the Dolphins. I think could have a good game. I then played Gabe Davis at 4,800. I love throwing him in all my lineups the last 2 weeks, and I'm going to continue to do it. And as I said before, I finished with the Giants defense. So what this lineup prefaces on is a high-scoring game between the Bengals and Bills, and the Giants playing pretty solidly against the Eagles this week.
It's a good lineup. There's one note I want to make, and it's about Dawson Knox. And it's nothing to do with you. It's about DraftKings not pricing him up. If you watch that game, he had 2 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. I really thought the second one, they could have let that stand. That was a good catch. They overturned it, I think, and they pulled it back. But, man, if he had 2 touchdowns there, we would be looking at a different price. And I want to believe they priced him down. And it's just like, man, he's a big weapon for Josh Allen. And he can be a deep ball threat too. He could be, when Josh Allen throws that deep ball, I don't know who he's throwing it to. It could be Knox. It could be Gabe Davis down there. Man, I do like Dawson Knox. I don't think they got his price right. He should be like 4,500. He
should be at least priced in that Dalton Schultz range, which is 4,200. I think they're not putting enough respect on that name.
Yeah, especially in this game, and this with what I saw last week, and how he had a touchdown in the last 8 games now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
All right, and just to piss Adam off here, if he's still listening, I've got an Eagles lineup, and this is what I think will actually happen. So I'll give that to you really quick, too. I'll just run through it.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Hurts at 7,600. Obviously, the dual threat. You got to play the guy. Travis Etienne could get a lot of work there for the Jaguars. So decent value at 6,400, too, going up against the Chiefs. I like him. Regardless of the outlook of that game, he's going to remain on the field. He's a 3-down back for them currently. Next, I rolled out Isaiah Pacheco to get a nice little change up here with the Chiefs at 5,500. He's their 1A, 1B kind of option right here. If Jared McKinnon doesn't fall into the end zone, it will be Isaiah Pacheco getting those touches. Next, I've got Jamar Chase again in this lineup. I then pulled A.J. Brown at 7,600. 2 very expensive wide receivers, but I've kind of had a theme with that this week. I think it's going to be a big week for the wide receivers. Here we see Gabe Davis again at 4,800. Dalton Schultz at 42. Marvin Jones at 3,600. Got to get a little bit cheaper. And then the Bengals defense at 2,400. Thoughts?
I mean, Marvin Jones has like the weakest ceiling out of everybody in this. I mean, Pacheco, we just haven't seen his ceiling yet. I think Pacheco has like a 35-point ceiling at some point in his career. We'll see it next year, I think.
1 game blow up.
Yeah, you want to be on it before everybody else is. That's the way I play DFS. I want to be there before everybody else is. There's going to be people there, but I want to be there before the train unloads. And it's like, we're all here, guys. We're fucking here. He blew up. I'm here.
We're in Big Cock Brock City right now. That's where the train's let off.
Yeah, everybody wants to be on that double stack, whether it's – and we saw what he did with George Kittle coming into the playoffs. George Kittle, I mean, he's the next Travis Kelce. I think he already is. He's been, as long as he stays healthy, he's a big tight end for a few more years to come.
He is.
Even
it's
Schultz,
just the health currently. Yeah, Schultz, I think, is.
Yeah,
he's arrived.
Same too, man. You remember when everyone was drafting Blake Jarwin, and it's like, oh, I got the Dallas tight end, man. Blake Jarwin, he's a beast. And
he's a beast. He's the most athletic tight end that's come out in years. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
But
man, with this lineup, yeah, I don't like Marvin Jones. It's not a bad play. He just doesn't. It's like playing AJ Green, to be honest with you, man, at this stage of his career. But he is in the playoffs. He could have like 2 catches for 2 touchdowns and 35 yards, and for 3,600, that's going to be enough to get you like 15, 16 points. I don't see how he's a guy that's gonna be heavily targeted when you have Kirk and Zay Jones and Evan Ingram is basically a receiver. It's kind of like how they use him.
Yeah, I had to save a little bit of money there somewhere, and it gave me a little bit of variety there, especially with me spending up on the wide receivers like I did with that lineup. But hey, I'm glad I could get that Philly lineup out there and just make Adam's blood boil just a little bit.
No, it's not a bad look. You're having a piece that, I mean, Marvin Jones is still a red zone option. So it's not bad.
No, absolutely not.
I really can't think of somebody else that you feel more comfortable.
EJ, is there what were you saying?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead with your thought. I insist.
No, I'm just always Galaxy Brandon. I'll tell you a whole lineup and then it's like, nope, we're doing a different direction. Well, nope, we're going somewhere else. It's just how I see it, man.
Absolutely. Did you have any other thoughts or wanted to provide anything to your crew or my Heckling Fandom before we get out of here tonight?
Does anybody else play lineups, or are they just hanging out rooting for the Giants? Is that like
it kind of seems like a theme tonight, huh?
Yeah.
I imagine Ron will be throwing one into our DraftKings review this week. Maybe I can talk JJ into throwing one in there too this week. I think he would love to show how a true DFS player plays, and he is a heavy DFS player, so I'll try to get him into that group this week too.
Well, tell me this. Who do you think has the best chance to be the biggest upset this week? Because we already know who the favorites are. We're not fooling anybody with any content. I think the only one that's probably 50-50 from a consensus from people looking out in is probably Bills-Bengals. I think that's probably a 50-50. Outside of that, everyone's probably saying Niners over the Cowboys, Eagles over the Giants, and Kansas City way over the Jaguars.
So there's no way that I don't see the Jags beating the Chiefs. That's not going to happen.
Right.
It's really a coin flip with the Bills and the Bengals. I don't see that being an upset matchup, so I don't think we can put that in the category. I think the Bengals will win this game. I just got a feeling about that team, but it's going to be based on the offensive line. It's going to be based on the play in the trenches and if they can scheme around those issues with the offensive line. But the Bengals have successfully done that the last few years anyway. They haven't had a great offensive line up until this year, which it was pretty good. So they'll be fine on that floor. The real upset here, and I can't believe I'm going to freaking say this because I don't think it'll happen, but could be the Giants over the Eagles. I kind of think the 49ers will steamroll the Cowboys. I don't see them winning that game.
It shouldn't.
So the most likely upset, not that it's going to happen, I think we're going to see heavy favorites this weekend, would be the Giants over the Eagles.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are actually trying to buy into that narrative too. Mm-hmm. I do like that could happen.
But if I had to
root for the Giants, I just don't want to. I just don't want to see Jalen Hurts. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think I don't know.
If I had to guess, the four teams I think are going to advance this week, I would go heavy here. I think it's going to be the Bengals, the Chiefs, the 49ers, and the Eagles.
Yeah.
But
man, that's sad to say it. I was hoping that the Bills would have that miracle season. What are they missing? If you don't have that confidence in Buffalo getting past, like what are they missing? Is it Josh Allen's just the mistakes he makes? Like what are they truly missing?
Schemes to clean up his red zone interceptions and a little bit more on defense. They're really missing that pass rusher currently. They brought the guy in from Denver over there who's helped two teams win a Super Bowl now, and he's not playing for them currently. Name's Von Miller. Von Miller's not playing currently. He's banged up right now, so him not playing, it's another person that could take Joe Burrow to the ground, and he may make them pay for not being able to get that pressure, even with a banged-up offensive line. I think they can honestly scheme their players open and give Burrow enough time, even with the injuries. They've done it in the past, and I think they'll do it this week.
No, man, that'd be sad to see. I think the nation's team as a whole is rooting for Buffalo. Like
probably
people that aren't big fans of football, just in general. I think the nation wants Buffalo to go the distance. Just me thinking that way.
I agree with that, man. All right, guys. If you like what
Yeah.
you hear on Garbage, go ahead. Any other thoughts yet, EJ?
Nah, you're good, man.
I didn't want to
It was
cut
a
you
good
short.
show.
Excellent show. It's always a good show,
all good,
when you're
Joe.
on, man. All right,
Yeah,
guys.
thank
If you
you,
like,
man.
show up any freaking time, man. If you guys like what you hear on Garbage Time Fantasy Football or on Breathing Fantasy Football, literally hear from EJ, go over to his channel and like and subscribe to both shows. You can find those shows on YouTube. You can also listen to this show in audio format on Apple, Spotify, Google, Pandora, Amazon, Iheartradio, Tunein. We are on live on Twitch and Twitter, and you can leave voicemails and hate mails and visit us at www.garbagetimeff.com. And I think we have one more comment before we get out of here, and that is Dennis saying Burrow is far better than Skyler. And that is absolutely right, Dennis. On that thought, guys, let's have a great divisional round. Win some money in your DFS lineups. Go and use that promo code that EJ gave you and go get some money for Underdog, and have a great night.
See you guys.